For 3 years, I seriously considered moving to Los Angeles, and I finally made the jump earlier this year in March. When you move to LA, you have to have a goal. That goal may be to chase your dream of becoming an actor, or simply escaping your town for the weather here. After living here now for almost a year, I thought I'd share my own experience on living in LA. This will either shock you or be exactly what you expect.
I want to be daring, baby, dance the night away. I let my head.
My name is EJ Horstman, Realtor and investor right here in Los Angeles. Please reach out via the link in the description, and I'd be happy to help you find the perfect home. There were a lot of things I didn't expect when moving here. For instance, you always hear that LA is 75 and sunny all year round. That's just not true. I moved here in March and it was cold, like 40s and 50s and raining. I had to gear up for my runs. Not all is what it seems. It's 75 and sunny in the fall and the mornings in the summer. But then in the summer, it gets super hot for like 5 months. Starting in July, it gets into the 90s and hundreds, and that goes even into November. So you'll have to have clothes for different times of the year. Don't expect to wear a swimsuit all year. The traffic here is of course horrible, but not totally in the way you'd think. Like on weekdays after 2 p.m. the traffic is slowest, but you can plan for it. If you go into Google Maps when you need to be somewhere, the predictions are actually pretty good. I was afraid that I'd never be on time anywhere since the traffic is so bad, but it's fairly predictable. However, you will get people making excuses all the time anyway. Either they're not using their GPS or they're probably lying. When I moved here, I totally expected to be driving all over LA County to get where I needed to go. And I also expected everyone else to be doing the same. But most people actually stay right in their neighborhoods, and it takes a lot of convincing to get people to drive far to meet. I have friends in the San Gabriel Valley east of LA, and they often don't even think about coming where I live in West LA. They also don't even know much about West LA. It's probably just my personality where I want to know about all the areas, and I'm willing to drive there if I have to. So if you meet folks here and they live in a certain area, don't expect them to leave that area too much. A lot of people ask me what the living costs are here. Well, an average studio apartment will run you anywhere from $1,500 or $1,600 to about $2,000, depending on location. The west side is more expensive, and the eastern and southern areas can be cheaper. It's also possible to find a single private room for $800 to $1,300 if you're willing to live with roommates. Other expenses like food and utilities are on par with mid-sized cities like Washington, D.C. Gas is really expensive here, like over $4 a gallon. So be prepared if you're driving an SUV. There are a multitude of job and career opportunities here. Every industry is represented, from tech to real estate to healthcare and business. And if you're in between jobs, you can always drive for Uber or Lyft and make decent money. One thing I'd recommend to do before moving to LA is to have about 6 months of savings lined up, unless you're coming straight for a lined up job. Also, research areas in the city so you know where you want to live. There are 88 cities in LA County. If you're thinking about moving here, feel free to reach out and I'd be happy to help. Lastly, I'll tell you what I love about LA. I love that it's the center of culture in the US. I also love that it's such an international city. You'll hear all kinds of languages walking around. And then there's the food. I happen to love Asian and Latin American cuisine, and it's everywhere in all forms and all prices. If you like sushi, definitely check out Kazunori for delicious hand rolls. Not sponsored by Kazunori. So, is LA overrated? I'm still figuring that out. It can definitely feel like a whirlwind here. And if you move without knowing people or having a network, that can be really hard. I moved here knowing a few folks, and it was still really difficult. It takes time to make and establish connections and learn the city and find your way. But it's super cool here, and there's a lot to take advantage of. So if you're thinking about it, I'd say take the plunge. One other thing about Los Angeles is that it's easy to get caught up in whatever you came here to do, whether that's, your job or like an acting career or, whatever you're trying to do. And it's easy to forget that this is actually a really cool place and that you should take some time for yourself. You can't just be grinding all the time. You need to appreciate the nature here, appreciate the entertainment, think about the connections you have here, and really dive into that at the same time, because it will make the grind a lot more fulfilling. And I need to remind myself of that constantly. If you enjoyed this video, I'm sure you'll love the one on screen. Feel free to reach out to me anytime for real estate needs. All links in the description below.